Whether you're listening on one of the dozen SuperTalk Mississippi radio stations across the Magnolia State, online or on the app, we're glad to have you along for the ride this morning on the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. We're also glad to welcome our friend and colleague, Lars Larson, host of the Lars Larson Show. You can listen to his show from 6 to 9 weeknights here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Lars, good morning. Thanks for the time. Thanks for getting up early.
I'm glad to do it. Actually, I'm usually up about this time of the day. I prep for about 6 hours every day. But I heard what you were saying about Mark. By the way, before I say something about Zuckerberg, the most important thing, my best to Paul Gallo, and we think about him all the time. But I heard what you said about Zuckerberg. I think you're absolutely right. But if I might, let me add in a couple more things. I haven't heard anybody ask him, well, who was putting pressure on you, if anybody, during the 4 years of Donald Trump? And leading up to the terrible administration of Joe Biden that, thank God, is going to end in another 5 days. That's one question. Number two, I might add in as a pressure point that he was not just worried about making sure his bottom line and his bank account was going to get bigger, just like Elon Musk has. And you're right to mention that. But he was also concerned because there's always been the threat, and there should be the threat, of invoking Section 230. Say you no longer qualify for Section 230. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I know how it works. And I think he didn't have to worry that Joe Biden might come down on him with Section 230, but he would have to worry about Donald Trump, saying that if you're going to act like a publisher, you see, Richard, you're a publisher. SuperTalk is a publisher, so am I. And you say, well, you don't publish a newspaper. Say, no, but anybody who does a publication like radio, television, print, or anything like that has to worry that everything we say and everything that a listener says on our air, we can be sued for in court. They can sue for defamation, invasion of privacy, a ton of things. I've had to deal with my whole
liability
life.
for third-party content.
That's right, because they say, but you didn't say it, Lars. It was one of your callers. And I say, yeah, but if I put it on the air and I didn't keep it off the air because we have delays and things like that to make sure that sort of stuff doesn't get on the air, if my show defames somebody, I get sued. So if you're Mark Zuckerberg, what goes on Facebook, what goes on X now, formerly Twitter, you can't get sued for because of Section 230. That's a powerful protection that's only extended to the social media types who promise to act like a platform. Now, I've always envisioned a platform like in a small town in Mississippi, if you had a town square and they put up a big piece of chalkboard and they said, anybody wants to can write anything they want to on this chalkboard. No censorship. So people write, friendly things, or I've got a tractor for sale, whatever it happens to be. But if somebody starts writing defamatory stuff up there, well, we can't allow that. The minute you start controlling the content, you are a publisher, just like a talk show or a newspaper. And I think Zuckerberg was worried Trump will invoke that. And the stories that he told on Rogan about being called by the Biden administration and having people screaming and cursing on the phone, saying, you will take that stuff down. Nobody asked him, did you ever have that happen under Trump? Because I don't suspect that he did, but I've talked enough. I just wanted to add that in because he knew that was coming at him.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the relevant questions, and this is what you're hitting on, is he playing Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump smart enough to recognize it if he is being played? Is this politically and economically expedient, or is it just convenient? And then to me, the other side of the coin is, it's almost like for a lot of people that were anti-Trump, never Trump, it's kind of become cool to support Donald Trump. Is Zuckerberg just trying to be one of the cool kids?
He might be trying to do some of that, and I suspect an awful lot of average people are doing that as well. And I think there were an awful lot of average people who had this. They had fears as well, because there was a point a few months before the election where to say you were backing Donald Trump literally meant you would lose friends, you would lose family members, you might lose clients. I know about people who've lost clients saying, I won't have anything to do with you. In fact, there's a rather major client that I used to have for years, and they don't want anything to do with me simply because I support Donald Trump. And I think that worm is turning right now. People are finally free to say, well, he's the president for the next 4 years. So now I can say out loud, I support the guy. Maybe they supported him in their hearts all that time before, but they felt if I say it out loud, I'm in trouble. But now they're free to do it.
A completely different topic. This story related to Greenland really is fascinating to me. There was a quote from Tom Cotton. He did an interview with Benny Johnson, and he said, "It's vital for national security and economy. We've had insight into Russia and China, trillions of dollars of rare minerals necessary for modern economy." He's very serious about that and said this was first mentioned to him, Tom Cotton, back in 2019 by President-elect Trump. When you look at this, the United States would like to buy Greenland. What's your take on it? How important is this?
I love it. And number one, look at it on a map. Just pull out your phone, pull up maps, and put in Greenland. Take a look at where it sits. And just think, even if you're not I'm not any kind of military expert, but I can tell you where it sits physically, it is significant for geopolitical strategic defense. I mean, it is an important place to be. It's also a message to China. We see China pushing out in the South China Sea, building these phony little islands, talking about invading or taking over Taiwan, the place where I was born. And that's, Trump needs to send back a message to that. Second thing is when they say, well, how do you buy this thing? And isn't it its own country? It is not. Now, I'll tell you what Denmark has tried to say. Oh, Greenlanders, Greenland belongs to Greenlanders. No, they don't. The Greenland belongs to the Kingdom of Denmark. If you look up who actually owns them. And I will tell you something else, because they have not accessed all that mineral wealth, and just two pieces of it, although there's a lot of it, 17 billion barrels of oil in that one spot that they know of. Now, we don't know if there's more, but there's 17 billion barrels of oil. There is something like 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. So if you tap just those two, it's a gold mine, but they also have gold and a whole bunch of other rare minerals. And right now, I looked this up because I kept asking the question of people, is Greenland a net benefit to the Kingdom of Denmark financially, or are they a net drain? They are, in fact, a net drain. They cost Denmark money. So it's like having that brother-in-law sleeping on your couch. He's not a benefit. He's a drain. And somebody says, hey, I'd like to adopt your, my wife asked me, well, why haven't they gone after all that oil and natural gas and everything else that's in Greenland? I said, because they're a bunch of, Euro folks who don't believe in oil. Well, I guess in the North Sea they do, but they're all about solar panels and all that. Donald Trump would say, we're going to go in, we'll do it with American know-how, we'll do it clean, we'll do it sensibly, and we will provide a boon in jobs and economic activity for people in Greenland. And already, I think the Greenland Prime Minister has already come out and saying Greenlanders like the idea of becoming, say, a U.S. territory.
Well, when you look at $37 trillion, almost $36 trillion in U.S. debt, might this be something that is actually the ticket? Because, look, I've kind of thrown away the idea. Republicans, Democrats, everybody's going to spend money, and the debt is going to continue to rise. The idea of actual fiscal conservatism, forget about it. We're never going to get there, or at least I don't think so. There's some that think so. I think that's a bit of a pipe dream. And so there are two ways to get rid of debt, right? You either stop spending or you make more money. Might this be the way to make more money, to start tackling some of that $36 trillion, which is absolutely at some point, and maybe we're already there, crippling, going to be crippling.
It absolutely is. And what you need to do is make more money. If you got your Visa card charged up to the max, go find a new job that pays a lot more money. And then you do have to impose some fiscal discipline, because otherwise, the guy who makes $50,000, who's always in debt, says, if I only made $100,000, I wouldn't be in debt. Chances are when he gets to $100,000, he'll be spending $110,000. Now, there is that phenomena. Or you can choose to say, when I get to $100,000, I'm going to actually put some money in the bank and I'm going to pay my bills down and get some financial freedom. That's what America needs to do.
My father-in-law, who's far smarter than I am, told me a long time ago, he said, you're going to spend what you make. That's just kind of how it works. See, if you make $100,000, you're going to spend $100,000. If you make 30, you're going to spend 30, and so on. Only about a minute left. I'm really the flag at half staff for the inauguration bothers me, and it bothers me a lot.
Me too. It shouldn't happen.
And it's an executive order that Joe Biden has in place. He's the only one that has the power to change it. Why can they not do something that is ceremonial and poignant for the late President Jimmy Carter, and then raise the flag to full staff as a show of strength for the United States?
They could, and in fact, I guess Texas has already done that. Maybe our friend Tate will put the flag to. Has he said where the flag's going to be on Inauguration Day?
He's going to be on with me tomorrow morning, and I will ask him that question.
Well, you give him my best because his ears should be burning. I talk about him and your education improvements that have happened under his watch. I talk about that all the time. I said, well, do what Mississippi's done. But, yeah, I think it'd be great to put it at full staff. And, yeah, we've honored Jimmy Carter, and that's a long conversation, too, about Jimmy Carter because I got my own opinions on the guy. But at least he had the relief that he lived long enough that he was no longer the worst president in modern American history, right?
I guess there's that. The time is always too short. Lars, appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll be listening.
Hey, thank you very much, sir.
Lars Larson, host of the Lars Larson Show. You can hear it right here on SuperTalk Mississippi from 6 until 9 weekday nights. More of the Gallo Show after this.